Hi everyone, welcome to Northern Zen Yoga. My name is Sandra, and this is one of our continuing video series on how to get these hips moving. So this one is going to be focused on two hip stretches that you can do at any time. As a matter of fact, I'm going to suggest that you do these two particular exercises while you're sitting watching television. So how it will work is this. You're going to watch your TV program like you normally do, and when the commercials come on, you're going to do the yoga stretch. And it's going to be a little bit like doing your Yin Yoga practice. If you've done any of my Yin Yoga practices, you know that we hold the postures for a period of time. And as we're holding them, we relax deeper, we breathe deeply, and we allow our body to settle down into the stretch. So the commercial period, which usually lasts somewhere between 3 to 5 minutes, will be a perfect way of you doing this kind of yin yoga practice without having to stop everything and go into a separate room and do all of that stuff. And it will also get you practicing the hip stretches pretty much every day. As you do this, you'll find that your hip stretching is going to accelerate, and you're going to be more and more and more relaxed much more quickly than you would if you just did a yoga practice once a week, particularly with the hip stretches. So any of the yin yoga practice can be done while watching television during the commercial period, but these two particular ones are fantastic for getting these hips open. So let's begin with the first one. So imagine yourself sitting on your couch or on a chair. And that's what I've kind of got here. I've got a nice big cushion, which is a lot like the cushion you may have on your chair. Or even if you like to watch TV in bed, you can do this on the bed. As a matter of fact, you might even feel more successful on your bed because the bed will give a little bit from your body weight and start to form around your legs so that you have a little bit more support while you're sitting there, and you'll feel like you're going deeper. But no matter whether or not you go really, really deep or you go only a little bit, and it looks like nothing like what I'm doing, you are still stretching as long as you can feel it. In yoga, if you're feeling it, you're doing it. So we're going to begin with the very first practice, which is the carpenter pose. So in this particular pose, we bring our feet together. So for you, this might look very different than what I've got going. So you may have your legs way out here, because your knees are kind of tight and your hips are tight. So don't worry about it. Just put yourself in a position where you're feeling just a little uncomfortable, but you're not experiencing pain. Just remember, pain is sharp, it's sudden, and it's unrelenting. But achy stretchiness is just, well, it's just things stretching out of their comfort zone, and you can tolerate it. And with a little bit of time, usually a few moments, you'll start to feel it dissipate as things begin to stretch out. So find your first place. Find a place where you feel just that little bit of uncomfortableness and set up there. Now, if you really need to, you can shove some pillows and things under here, but don't do that in order to stop the achiness, because unless it's painful, you want to let the weight of your legs start to do some of the work for you. So find your space that you need to be in, whatever that looks like, and we'll begin. I'm going to bring my legs in a little closer so that you can see what I'm doing a little better. And I've got my feet touching. Now, the one thing, even if you feel like you can bring your heels very close to your body, this is not the butterfly. So we need to have at least from our bottom of our hand to the tip of our fingers space. If we plant our hand down from our groin to our heel, we should at least have that much space there. And what we're going to do is focus on bringing our belly toward the floor, not our head. So keep your head up. You can watch the commercial if you like. And we're going to take that deep breath in and stretch up through the spine. Take a deep breath in, and as you exhale through the mouth, just let your belly sag down till you start to feel a little more intense stretching. You don't have to go very far as long as you're feeling that intense stretch happening. Keep breathing. Take those deep, deep breaths. Breathing in through the nose and letting them go through the mouth. Inhaling and exhaling. Inhaling and exhaling. And if you're able to, if your legs are in a position where you can get your elbows outside of your legs, go ahead, do that too if you like, and let your hands come down to the floor. But if you're still way up here and it's not quite happening, just put your elbows against the inside of your thighs, put your palms together, and just give your legs a little bit of a encouragement to open up a bit more. Now, doing this particular stretch, you could start with 15 seconds, which is the average commercial length, just one commercial at a time. Now, you know there's a whole bunch of them in there. So you can begin to time yourself by 1 commercial advertisement, 2 commercial advertisements, 3, 4, until you get up to the full period of time that there's commercials running, which is, like I said, between 3 to 5 minutes, depending on the program you're watching and the station you're watching. So if you can get yourself up to the whole time that the commercials are running, that's a good yin stretch. And then come up, stretch your legs out, shake them out, relax them, and just let everything relax. And then go about watching television. And then maybe when the next commercial comes on, you can repeat that same stretch, or you can do the next one. So the next one, you might need to have an ottoman. If you're sitting in a chair, something to rest your leg against so you can stretch it out. Or if you're sitting on the couch, you can kick your kids off, or your husband and dog, and you can stretch your leg out along the couch so that you have a nice support for the extended leg. If you're able to get down onto the floor, even better, get on the floor, as I am here with a cushion under you, and stretch your leg out. And then the opposite leg, you're going to bring it in, and again, where it is, for your comfort of your joints, is got to be up to you, not up to me. Listen to your body. Don't cause yourself pain, but at the same time, don't baby yourself, because babying yourself has got you where you are right now. So just bring your leg up as far as you can, and this time you can bring it in as close to the body as you're able to. Stretching out the front leg right in front of you. Try not to have it over here. I like to have it right in front. And we're going to bring our belly again down. It's all about focusing on the belly. Why is that? Because if we're bending our back to get our head toward us, we're arching the spine. That's a spinal stretch. That's not a hip stretch. If we're pushing our belly down toward our leg or toward the floor, we are pushing the hip joint to twist. So as we move forward from the belly, we're moving actually the hip joint. And you might not go very far. You might only get this far and you feel like you've hit the wall and it hurts if you try to go any further. And as long as you're at that place where it's uncomfortable, you don't think you could go further without causing pain, stay there and relax and start to breathe. Deep breaths, inhaling and exhaling through the mouth. That's important to let it go through the mouth. Let it go. Because as you exhale through the mouth, you're relaxing your body. You're releasing the stretch and tension in your body. Inhale. Exhale. And again, we can hold this for 1 commercial. We can hold it for 2 commercials. We can hold it for the whole entire advertising commercial breaks, which might be 5 or 6 commercials in there. So let's inhale as we come up. Stretch your legs out, shake them out, relax. And if you have time, you can do the other side during that same commercial break, or you can wait to the next one and then do the other side. So remember, everything's equal. Now, what I didn't mention in the first stretch, and which is very important, is as you have this leg stretched out, you're going to feel a little bit of a pulling in the back of your leg underneath here. That's your hamstrings. They're actually attached at the top to your pelvis, which is part of your hip joint. So when you're moving your body forward and you're pushing your belly down, you're pulling against those tendons and those ligaments that are attached to all of your muscles, and the hamstring back here is one of them, and you're going to feel it. It's going to feel like it's pulling from right from your knee joint up to your hip joint. You're also pulling on your IT band. So keeping those flexible, we've already talked about, is important. So as you come forward and you breathe and you relax, you might feel the tension on this leg also start to relax and not feel quite so strong anymore. So how do we fix that? How do we get that achy, stretchy feeling back again? Because we want to maintain that. Well, we start to pull our toes up toward the ceiling and back toward our face if we can. So it may not take much. If you're a pretty tight person in the back of your legs and you start to feel the hamstrings relax, it might only take just pushing your heel away from you a tiny bit to reactivate it. Or if you're fairly flexible there and you've been stretching for a while, you may need to really pull up on your foot and push your heel out to get that tension activated again. And believe me, even if you're at that position, you are going to find it harder to push your belly down. So you are still getting that pushing, pulling of the hip joint, which is what we want to get. So take some more deep breaths. Exhale. Keep your head up. Watch the television if you like. Talk to your husband. Talk to the dog. Whatever you need to do to occupy your mind so that you're not really thinking about how long you are here. Instead, you're letting your body relax and let go and stretch. And then we're going to come back up. And we're going to shake everything out again. So, whether you do this once every evening, once on each side of that stretch, and then in the cobbler pose once in a whole evening, that's up to you. Or whether you do this over and over again through the time that you're sitting watching TV, that's also up to you. Just know that the more stretching that you're doing in these particular joints, you're going to open up and get them moving faster. Now, having said that, it's important to know that when you're stretching your body out, when you're getting your hips moving, particularly getting your knees moving, there will be some residual aching and discomfort happening, whether it happens immediately after, or whether you feel it several hours later, or where you get up the next morning and your legs and your hips are aching. You need to know that that has to happen. It's important. This is where a lot of people give up. They start to feel the discomfort that happens when they're opening up their joints. It's natural. It happens to everybody when they start to exercise even. Even if you're, pumping iron, you're going to feel like the muscles are going to hurt you the next day. Or if you're a runner, your legs are going to be achy and heavy the next day. You need to push through that, because that is a sign that you are doing something good. Now, as long as you haven't pushed yourself into the pain threshold while you were doing the exercise, you are actually experiencing a very, very common phenomena that happens when we start to especially open up the hips. And that is that we start to wake up nerve endings that have been pressured and pinched and haven't been worked for a long time. And when those nerve endings wake up, it starts to feel very uncomfortable. And the sensation is kind of sometimes a little bit like pain. And it's very overwhelming. I know I went through this myself. I pushed through it. I realized what it was. I realized this is my body feeling the sensation of movement again, which it hadn't felt in years. So once you get through this, it doesn't happen. It rarely happens unless you've really, really done a lot of yoga and some really powerful yoga. It doesn't really happen again after that. As a matter of fact, it will start to become the opposite. You will start to get those aching and heavy feelings when you're not doing enough yoga. And once you start to do the yoga again, your body feels looser, more relaxed, and it feels good again. So it's worth it. It's worth going through. And this might go on for several months. It might happen for, depending where you are in your particular body movement package, you might feel it for a year. You might always feel it, but as long as you're getting looser and more relaxed, that's the important thing. The other thing that happens, and this is something particular to women, when we start to get our hips moving, when we start to open up the pelvic area that has got tight and rigid, we can sometimes release pent-up emotional stress. I remember when I was practicing in the first few months that I was opening up my hips, and especially when my hips started to loosen up and started to actually move a little more freely, and I'm talking not like now, but just getting movement happening again in the hips. I spent a lot of time through my practice crying. Now, this is a natural thing that happens to women because we hold our stress here. We hold our emotions down here. A lot of us are very, very highly affected by indigestion and constipation and all kinds of things because we push the emotions down. We get angry. We're not allowed to show anger. So instead, we get indigestion. And it's very unusual to see somebody who is very, very tight, very, very rigid in the hip area to begin to open up and not experience some kind of emotional release. You might even feel angry. Maybe you have been pushing down anger instead of sadness. And so that's all going to happen. It's all going to come out. If you're by yourself and you're starting to cry, let it cry. Let yourself cry. Let it go. This is good. This is part of what yoga does for your body. Yoga is a stress reliever, and stress is stored in the body. So when you start to feel these emotional bubbles coming up and you think you're going to cry, just let it happen. If you think you're going to feel anger, let the anger come out. Shout at the dog. Shout at your husband. Then apologize later, of course. But shout at the TV if nobody else is there. Do what you need to do to let that emotion come out. Because if you don't, it's going to come back down again. And it's going to keep pushing up, and you're going to keep pushing it down. And that is not a good thing to have happen to your body. We have scientific proof now that stress starts disease happening in the body. That's why we're all constantly being told we need to relax, we need to de-stress, and yoga has become incredibly popular just from the factor of de-stressing the body for a lot of people who are in high stress positions. So enough of the lecture for today on that, but remember, if it happens, it's okay. You're okay. I love hearing from you guys. I love it when you send me little comments and talk to me about your journey through yoga. Please continue to do that. I'm looking forward to the day when we're going to have our live class. It's coming soon. I'm shooting for the beginning of October, so keep posted. And have a wonderful day. Keep practicing your yoga. You're doing great. Bye for now. We'll see you next time.